Herzlich willkommen, Sianamgela, and welcome to the Bundesliga Connection with Chris Harrington on the SL Podcast in partnership with DW Berlin.
It's time for the latest from Germany's domestic football league, the Bundesliga, and more. For that, we are joined by Chris Harrington from our partner station Deutsche Welle in Berlin, Germany. Chris, Bayern suffered a shocking defeat to Leverkusen after 2 penalties were awarded.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. It was a shocking defeat. Bayer Leverkusen put up quite the fight against the defending champions, Bayern Munich. But there could be good reason because apparently Bayern Munich have a mole. Prior to this kickoff, a couple of days prior to this kickoff, there were some tactical agendas basically published and disclosed from the Bayern locker room. Bayern gave their players a new tactical plan, how to approach teams differently, new schemes, what to do. This information was sent to the media and put in the press. So I'm sure their ex-player, Xabi Alonso, the head coach of Bayer Leverkusen, studied those notes. I'm sure every opponent of Bayern Munich has. That might have given them the slight advantage. But in this particular match, Kimmich put Bayern ahead early, and Leverkusen got 2 penalties. One of the penalties would have been questionable. I think it was a good job selling the penalty, but the Bundesliga's only World Cup champion, Exequiel Palacios, converted both from the spot. You got to feel for Jan Sommer being between the posts. Jan Sommer, the goalkeeper at Bayern Munich, filling in for an injured captain, Manuel Neuer. I'm sure he got a lot of sideways looks after that in the locker room, because maybe if he would have blocked one of those penalties, Bayern would still be leading the standings. But now they're looking up to Dortmund, but not a good match at all. But at the end, Nagelsmann did acknowledge the fact that he would have awarded the penalties himself. That's just my call. I think one of the ones was sold very well to award it. But nonetheless, a defeat's a defeat. Congratulate Bayer Leverkusen.
Dortmund fired 6 goals past Cologne, keeping the pressure on Bayern, and they now lead the standings.
Yeah, really, they had the most electric performance. They had 2 braces, one from Reus, the captain, another one from Sebastien Haller, the one player returning from cancer. He's looking very good and healthy. Dortmund are taking care of business. They are coming off of an ejection from the Champions League, of course. So they really only have this title to fight for. I don't think the German Cup, it just shines as brightly in one's treasure chest if they win the Bundesliga title. But Dortmund, really look good. No complaining from them. They're in first place right now, only 1 point, very slim. But in terms of the accomplishments and benchmarks, Marco Reus, the captain, became the club's all-time record goal scorer after converting his brace. So that's definitely a pat on his back. And he did obviously rumor about possibly extending his contract with Dortmund as well. So Dortmund look good. They've always been a very good club, very talented. They've just disappointed when it's counted the most. And they have an upcoming match, I think, that will count the most for them in their title pursuit. They face Bayern Munich after the international break. So that's going to be the one firecracker to tune in for when the Bundesliga resumes.
Bayern Munich and Leverkusen are the only Bundesliga sides still competing in Europe. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, Bayern Munich, they're facing Manchester City. Of course, Manchester City has arguably the hottest striker in the world of football right now in Erling Haaland. He can give it to you always. He scored an amazing 5 goals in the way to this fixture versus Bayern Munich. So he's a problem. There's no question about that. Bayern Munich, though, they were able to contain the likes of Kylian Mbappe for PSG. I think they're going to try to follow a similar game plan. And it's also going to be a battle versus their former coach, Pep Guardiola. So they have emotions, the talent on the pitch, and it should be electric. I'm expecting a lot from this fixture, and Bayern Munich have always been the best bet moving forward in the Champions League. Leverkusen, though, a shock, a surprise. When you look at how they've done in the standings domestically, not the best team, not the most solid, but kind of experienced a resurgence under Xabi Alonso. He's done well, and they play a Belgian side in the next round of the Europa League. So that that's good for them, because if they do win, they defend the Bundesliga's reign in the Europa League competition. Frankfurt, of course, won last season. So things look bright for Leverkusen, specifically coming off that big win versus Bayern.
Before we let you go, Chris, just like always, what else has hit your radar?
Well, we have no Bundesliga to look forward to this upcoming weekend. We have some friendlies, the international duty. And I'm looking forward to it because the head coach Hansi Flick is experimenting. He's going to give a lot of youngsters a shot, some champions with the under 21 team here in Germany. They won the European champions. They became European champions recently. So a lot of things to look forward to. One name I'm disappointed I'm not seeing on the lineup is Leroy Sané. Leroy Sané, hasn't played the best domestically. His form hasn't been there. And he was one player left off of a World Cup squad back in the day, back to one of these dismal World Cup performances Germany has experienced recently. And it's just sad to see because I expected him to be an electric duo next to Serge Gnabry, but that's not going to be the case for these upcoming friendlies. So we have to wait and see how Germany perform and how they look moving forward.
Thank you very much for the Bundesliga update, Mr. Chris Harrington from our partner station Deutsche Welle in Berlin, Germany. Have a fantastic day further.
Dankeschön und auf Wiedersehen.
The Bundesliga Connection is a team effort driven by the following incredible individuals. The show is hosted by Aidan Hewitt and Chris Harrington. It is produced by Chris Harrington. It is edited by Aidan Hewitt and Uli Presch, and graphics are provided by David Scullard.